Happy Monday, my lovely students. So today I'm going to be going over how to take a percentage of something, and this is a review because you've done percentages before, but I just wanted to make a short video reminding you of what it's about. So this is a basic review of percentages. And a percent is basically a part of a whole. So a piece of a whole amount. What is the whole amount? The whole amount is 100%, right? So when we talk about 100% of something, we mean the entire thing, the whole thing. And what's 100%? Well, it just means 100 out of the 100, right? And what's 100 over 100, or the same number over the same number, is always 1. So, right, so it's one whole item. And in decimal form, 1 is 1.00, correct? Kind of like a dollar, right? A dollar is 100 pennies. So what happens when we talk about taking 20% of something? Well, 20% of a whole, right, is 20 parts out of 100, right? And what does that become? So when we put that in our calculator, I have here my phone, and oops, now you all know my password. It's 20 divided by 100, and you're going to get 0.2. But here we're going to call it 0.20, right? 0.20. They don't put the 0 there, but usually you put the 0 in. Okay, so we get 0.20, and that is what we use in order to calculate a percentage of something, right? So basically, this is the fraction, and we turn it into the decimal. Let's look at another one, 5%. Well, 5% is just 5 parts out of the whole, which is 100. So it's 5 out of 100. And when we put that in the calculator, you're going to get 0.05. Okay, so it's kind of like saying 5 cents, right? Remember, we talked about 100% being like a dollar. Well, so 5% is like taking 5 cents out of the dollar. 20% is like taking 20 cents. So a quick shortcut. My C looks like an E. Is that if I have that 5%, and you probably have learned this already, you have the decimal here. If you move it 2 spaces, you get your decimal form. If I take it with 20%, I'll have the little decimals here, and I'm going to move it 2 spots to the left, and I get 0.20. So that's a little shortcut that you probably learned in order to turn percentages into decimals very quickly. But mathematically is really just a division over 100. So either way will get you the same amount. So for example, let's look at how we would apply this to an actual word problem or a math problem. So if I want to take a percentage out of an amount, then I would multiply. So usually you'll multiply the percentage from what you want to find. So for example, I want to take 20% of 75. The first thing I have to do is turn this into a decimal so that I can put it in my calculator. I can't put 20% just like that. So very quickly I can do 20 over 100, and that's going to give me 0.20. We already found that above up here. So how we find 20% out of 75 is we're going to do 0.20 times 75. And that's how we're going to take a percentage from an amount. So back on my phone for my calculator, I'm going to take 0.20 times 75. And that means that 20% of 75, oops, is 15. So that's going to become 15. And that's going to be my answer, right? Let's look at one more example. I have a word problem. The cost of an item Like we buy a pair of jeans or we buy a t-shirt, we always pay tax on that item. So let's say something costs $45 and typically the tax on something is 8%. So I'm going to have the $45 plus whatever the tax amount is going to be my total. So 45 times 8%, how do we do that? Well, first I'm going to turn 8% into a decimal, and that's 0.08. I'm going to then multiply that by 45, right? My multiplication, that's how I get the amount. And then on my phone, I'm going to put, let me clear this out, 0.08 times 45 is going to give me 8% of 45, which is 3.6. That's 0.08 out of 45. So then I'm going to put that here. And then 45 plus 3.6 is going to be, well, we can just do that in our heads, 48.6. You can put that in the calculator, right? Also. So 45 plus 3.6. And there's your final answer. So this final part here was for some word problems, which some of you have. But basically, I hope this gives you a nice review on how to calculate percentages. Thank you.